Ford is a global conglomerate with distinct regional identities across the world. And here in South Africa, we're uniquely positioned to experience several of them, from the American Ford Mustang to the Australian Ford Ranger. We used to get British Fords as well, but the likes of the Ford Focus have since been pulled out of the South African market. And now, more recently, we get Chinese Ford as well in the territory, which is built through a joint venture with JMC, who've just had their brand relaunch in South Africa a few weeks ago. What we have here is the range-topping Dark Edition, finished in a striking ruby red metallic paint. It effectively replaces the titanium, with the Ambiente and Trend sitting just below it. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what sets this one apart from its Ambiente and Trend siblings within the stable. We're going to talk about its practicality. Finally! Jesus Christ. Its features. We're going to hoon about on a gravel road because it is an SUV after all. And then I'll take it to the tarmac and tell you how much it will cost to run on a monthly basis. So, without wasting any more time, let's get started. Car Talks: Power, Precision, Performance. Powering all three models in the lineup is the same 1.8-litre 4-cylinder EcoBoost turbo petrol engine, delivering 138 kilowatts and 318 Nm of torque. It sends power to the front wheels only via a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. Curb weight comes in at 1.6 tons and it'll sprint to 100 km per hour from standstill in a claimed 8.3 seconds. Separating the Dark Edition from the Trend and Ambiente models is the two-tone blacked-out exterior, which includes a black roof, black 19-inch alloys, side skirts, and a black grille, to name a few. It is also equipped with orange stitched leather seats, a 360-degree camera with a 3D effect. You get a massive panoramic sunroof with slide and tilt function, and a sunshade which does a fantastic job at keeping the sun out. This also comes with black roof lining, and if you're an avid follower of the channel, then you'll know that I'm a sucker for black roof lining. Moving on to practicality, there is one thing that really annoys me about the territory. So I don't know if the issue is isolated to this particular unit, but opening the boot with the key fob is incredibly challenging. So the vehicle is unlocked right now, as you can see. So let's go ahead and try and open the boot. And nothing's happening. So I'll gradually get closer to the vehicle just to try and see what happens when I'm closer. Still nothing.
One eternity later.
Finally. Jesus Christ. And this is a brand new vehicle with only 6,000 kilometers on the clock, so it can't be the key battery. And once you've successfully opened the boot, you will get 448 liters of boot space, which is decent considering that you get a spare wheel as well. By comparison, the Haval H6 gets a larger 600 liters, while the VW Tiguan gets an even bigger 652 liters. Nevertheless, the rear bench is equipped with a 60-40 split configuration. Needless to say that closing it is a lot less fussy. Coming to the rear cabin, this is where the territory begins to take center stage because we've driven some pretty large mid-sized SUVs on the channel, including the Jetour T2 and the BMW X5. And surprisingly, the territory trumps both with 956mm of legroom against the X5 and T2's legroom of 950mm. Not to suggest that this competes with the X5 because we all know it doesn't, but I'm simply drawing a parallel of just how much space you get in here. I read somewhere that rear legroom is a symbol of status in China, which is why cars such as the 3 Series Grand Limousine exist. It's basically a long wheelbase 3 Series that's specifically built for the Asian market. And this would explain why Chinese vehicles such as the Territory have such incredible legroom. You get a carbon fiber-esque finish in the door panels, black leather seats with orange stitching, and a center armrest with 2 cup holders. The Territory comes equipped with ISOFIX anchor points to safely mount your child's seat, 6 airbags, and a 5-star Chinese NCAP rating. The rear passengers are also treated to 2 air vents and 1 USB Type-A port. I also like the fact that the floor is completely flat for the middle passenger. As we make our way to the front cabin, you get 10-way electrically adjustable black leather seats with orange stitching, which are quite comfortable, I must say. Storage-wise, the Chinese influence begins to shine through because you will not be found wanting for additional storage. You have a decent-sized cubbyhole, and speaking of the cubbyhole, I thought a church pastor forgot their Bible in here, but this is actually Ford's owner's manual with a rather lovely pouch. You get a massive storage bin under the center armrest, and because the transmission is shift-by-wire, you get even more storage under the center console, which is very reminiscent of the Cherry Group products. So I suppose we can call this the Cherry Tory? Anyway, you do get two USB ports, which are a Type A and Type C, as well as a 12-volt socket. You've got two cup holders that are neatly tucked away, and a wireless charger. But that piano black will scratch rather quickly, as I've seen on this particular unit. You get a dual 12.3-inch infotainment display, which doesn't come with Ford's Sync operating system that we've come to know in the Ford Ranger and the Ford Everest. And that means you cannot connect to the Ford Pass mobile app, unless they've somehow figured a way around that. Nevertheless, you get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with intelligent voice command technology. The resolution of the 12-inch digital instrument cluster is also of a high standard. Now, we're still going to talk about the fuel consumption that you're currently seeing on your screen right now, so hang tight. The dual-zone climate control is operated through these touch haptic buttons together with the infotainment system. And whoever came up with the embedding of the climate control within the infotainment really did a number on us, because physical buttons are so much safer. And I'm not just directing that at Ford specifically, because it's virtually everybody at this point. And I've said the same thing on most of the new BMWs I've reviewed recently. This comes equipped with an 8-speaker surround sound system, and to listen to how it sounds, head over to my YouTube shorts. Overall, interior build quality is really impressive with soft-touch squishy materials throughout the cabin. Before we get to driving dynamics, if you're enjoying these videos, then please go ahead and smash the subscribe button to become a part of the family. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so that you don't miss a single one of our epic reviews. One of the many reasons why anyone would want to buy an SUV over a station wagon is ground clearance, which you get 190mm of in here. Now, this has a front-wheel drive configuration with no option of all-wheel drive, but it does have 4 drive modes, namely Eco, Normal, Sport, and most importantly, Mountain. And together with that ground clearance, does mean that you can take it on a gravel road, and quite enthusiastically so, without worrying yourself about the ground beneath you. So from that perspective, SUVs make a lot of sense for South African roads, especially given our pothole situation. And the bonus is that while this is not a true off-roader, you can visit Magriza wherever she is, from Lebuakhomo to Kamhlabialingana to Qumbu. All of those gravel roads are no match for this. The suspension is the McPherson up front with the multi-link setup in the rear, which is the usual setup at this price point anyway. But it is very supple and comfortable. Given that this is the dark edition, I would have expected the steering to feel a little tighter, more precise and sportier than the other derivatives in the lineup. But by SUV standards, I think the steering is competent enough. Overtaking is a breeze for the territory because peak torque comes early on at 1,750 RPM. Although the gearbox could have been a little more responsive given that it's a dual clutch. Coming to the elephant in the room, this is a vehicle that enjoys being out on the freeway more than bumper-to-bumper city traffic because I was averaging about 8 liters per 100 kilometers on the freeway and a lot higher than that in town. The manufacturer claims 7 liters per 100 kilometers on the combined cycle. So when the vehicle was delivered to me, I immediately reset the trip computer in order to get a sense of what I would average over the week I had the vehicle. And I averaged 10.3 liters to the 100 as you can see from trip 1. By comparison, Trip 2 has never been reset, so it's essentially the vehicle's fuel consumption since it was manufactured 6,000 kilometers ago, which again is also 10.3 liters. Just in case anyone wants to blame me, because there's always that one random person in the comment section sitting at home and going, "Oh, how did you get 10 liters?" So, as you can see, the 50 plus publications who've driven this car and are still gonna drive it are getting the same 10 liters. And just remember that the best soccer players in the world are the ones sitting at home holding a black label while shouting at the TV. Anyway, I've driven for a total of 268 kilometers and I only have 32% of fuel remaining, with 227 kilometers to empty, which means that the 60-liter fuel tank will cover about 495 kilometers. But do let me know in the comments, is that high consumption for a mid-sized SUV? For context, I got this over the Easter long weekend, so I literally only went to church and a few errands around town, but somehow managed to burn through 70% of the tank. Let me not even say anything. Do with that information what you will. This comes with a 4-year 120,000 kilometer warranty and a 6-year 90,000 kilometer service plan included in the selling price. You get a choice of 4 colors to choose from on the dark edition, and our test unit is finished in ruby red. Other highlight features include park distance control in the front and the rear, a 1.3-ton brake towing capacity, adaptive cruise control with lane keep assist. So as the vehicle in front of me cuts in, the territory will reduce and match its speed. You also get blind spot monitoring. And when it comes to lighting technology, you get ambient lighting, which I couldn't change the color of, just like on the Ranger Wildtrak. You get puddle lights to help you see any mud or water puddles before jumping in and out of the vehicle, as well as LED daytime running lights with Ford LED headlights. Moving on to pricing and cost of ownership, I think this pricing segment is going to be a little confusing because as I was making the final edits to this review on the 13th of April, so yesterday, Ford South Africa released the pricing of the facelifted Territory. So I'll speak about the pricing of this outgoing model first, and then I'll circle back to the facelift so that we don't confuse the two. Kicking off the range is the Ambiente for 595,000 rands, which comes equipped with 18-inch alloys and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but I believe it comes equipped with cloth seats. Above that is the Trend for 652,000 rands, which gets wireless charging, a rear view camera, leather seats, and an electronic tailgate. Above that is the range-topping dark edition that we're currently driving, and that one starts from 734,000 rands. Now, coming to the facelift, it would appear that Ford South Africa have slashed prices by about 60,000 rands across the trim levels, if we assume their website has no typos, of course, because now the Ambiente starts from 535,000 rands. And oddly enough, the Titanium has made a comeback as well in the facelift and starts from 644,000 rands, which was previously discontinued to make way for the dark edition. And there's no dark edition mentioned for the facelift as yet. And after quickly glancing over the brochure, you can now connect to the Ford app in the facelift and operate various functions from your phone, including remote start. So with all things considered, it might be worthwhile waiting for the facelift and get that at the lower price. Could this be pressure from the other Chinese entrants in the market? I don't know for sure, but the telltale signs are definitely there. What I do know is that the mid-sized SUV segment is heavily contested in South Africa, and even brands who are part of the same group of companies have started to cannibalize each other. On finance, the outgoing dark edition will set you back 13,800 rands a month over 6 years at the current prime interest rate of 10.25% per annum. Insurance is risk profile dependent, and the cheapest quote I got was 2,600 rands. A full tank of petrol will cost you 1,400 rands at the current inland price of 95 octane for its 60-liter fuel tank, which would then result in a total cost of ownership of just under 18,000 rands. The 700,000 rand mid-sized SUV segment is fiercely contested with heavy hitters such as the Haval H6, VW Tiguan, and the Toyota RAV4 to name a few. You even have off-road ready examples such as the Jetour T2 that has recently entered the South African market and taking over by storm in terms of sales. By the way, our T2 review is currently on 110,000 views, so do check it out if you haven't done so already. I'll leave a link in the description box below. The consumer is really spoiled for choice, which is a good thing because competition drives price down while increasing innovation. And I hope that these reviews add some value in your decision-making process. As always, let me know what SUV you're getting for around 700,000 rands. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.